January 25th, 2026. Week 3 of the Ancient Lower Tiers Premier League. We have the GSC UU clash between PP Splashtown and MCU. PP Splashtown was once an avid GSC UU player, before taking a break from the tier in 2025. MCU is also playing his first GSC UU tournament in a while. He is more known for playing other UU generations. That being said, let's jump into the game. The stage has been set. On turn number 1, PP sends out a Porygon and MCU sends out a Slowbro. Right off the bat, Porygon is an interesting sight. We have only started seeing lead Porygon recently, in the last few months. Lead Porygon is a strong hint that PP is using an aggressive team. The whole idea behind Porygon is that it spreads paralysis well. It's very good at forcing paralysis on normal resistant Pokemon, like Haunter or Magneton. This support is greatly appreciated by Pokemon like Granbull or Pinsir. The late Slowbro and MCU's team hints towards an offensive or balanced team, one that almost certainly has spikes. That's the kind of team Porygon is aiming to face. Against this Slowbro, Porygon can use Thunder Wave, Spam Recover, and Curse when full paralysis kicks in. At least, it can do that versus the usual Slowbro set. Thunder Wave Slowbro is not something PP wants to see. Not only does it hurt Porygon bad, it makes things harder for PP's back sweepers. PP does not want them taking paralysis, so he stays in and commits to Porygon. Slowbro does land a Surf turn 3 though, as Porygon dishes out a meager double edge. PP now needs to use Recover, but a critical hit or full paralysis will be disastrous. MCU goes for Surf. That's not great. PP is now forced to swap out. He reveals an Electrode, who takes 43% from a Surf. Ouch. This does force Slowbro out at the very least. It'll probably make MCU reveal his ground type. Turns out that ground type is Quagsire, who switches in as Electrode uses a Light Screen. Out of all the UU ground types, Quagsire is probably the easiest one to punish with these kind of teams. PP promptly pivots to Pinsir, taking little damage from an Earthquake. Depending on what team MCU has, this could be a dangerous situation. This Pinsir could pick up 1 or 2 kills, depending on who MCU sends out to fight Pinsir. Turns out, it's Qwilfish. That is risky business. Pinsir speed ties Qwilfish and deals huge damage with Hidden Power Ground. Qwilfish also fails to 2-shot Pinsir back. This matchup could go better for MCU if he has Haze, which he does. Hidden Power Ground thus fails to 2-shot Qwilfish. MCU then wins the second speed tie, landing a Sludge Bomb that poisons Pinsir. PP sets up a Sword Stance, but if he loses a third speed tie, Pinsir will not get much done. PP's Pinsir has failed to get much done, unfortunately. At the very least, PP stopped Qwilfish from setting up spikes. MCU swaps out to his Slowbro, as Pinsir fires off a weak return. With Porygon both very low and paralysed, PP decides to sacrifice it. He swaps it in, and Slowbro gets fully paralysed. Cool, maybe now he can do something. Or not. This is starting to look rough for PP. His luck so far this game has not been great, and one of his major sweepers is weakened. PP can still turn this around though. He reveals a Girafarig, who is likely using a Curse set with Thunder, a move that will 2-shot Slowbro. PP is likely to take a Thunder Wave as Thunder hits, but he kinda needs to start putting pressure on. PP smacks the opposing Slowbro with Thunder, but Slowbro is not fully paralysed and Thunder Waves Girafarig. Rather than let Slowbro die, MCU swaps out to his Blossom, as PP uses Curse. The presence of the paralysis spreading Blossom, in addition to a Thunder Wave Slowbro, indicates that MCU's Quagsire is a belly drum set. It's risky for MCU to stay in. While he can set up Sword Stance, Girafarig already has 1 curse up. As such, MCU swaps out to his Haunter. This is now a bit tricky for PP. Girafarig can one-shot Haunter with an Earthquake, but Haunter's faster and can use Explosion or Destiny Bond. Luckily for PP, MCU just uses Thief. I think that was not the best play. This Girafarig could be a problem. You want to put as much pressure on it as possible. MCU brings in Qwilfish and, rather than going for the long-term beneficial move in Spikes, chooses to neuter the currently threatening Girafarig. Girafarig then KOs Qwilfish. Now, Blossom should be okay to take on Girafarig. Blossom sets up a sword stance as Girafarig fails to act. With the team PP has, he almost certainly has a Haunter in the back, who would wall Blossom unless it's a random hidden power ground set. PP decides to stay in with Girafarig and deal some chip damage with return. Now, PP goes to Haunter. Both players have a lot to consider now. Haunter can cripple Blossom with Hypnosis or KO it with Explosion. If MCU swaps out as Haunter uses Explosion, he is now in a bad spot versus Blossom. Let's see what happens. PP removed the threatening Blossom, but at the cost of Haunter, a fast explosion-using Pokemon, sure to be decisive in an endgame like this. MCU brings in Quagsire, and PP brings in Electrode. If MCU is using Belly Drum, he could set it up now, but PP could also use Explosion, paving the way for his Grand Bull likely in the back. PP decides to keep Electrode around though. Instead, he sacrifices Girafarig. Yep, that was a Protect. I bet PP is glad he did not use Explosion. The presence of Protect confirms that this is a Belly Drum Quagsire. Ultimately, he still has to let Girafarig go down here. PP now has momentum. He at last reveals his Grand Bull. Quagsire cannot safely set up here. Slowbro is too weak to take Grand Bull on. MCU decides to fight Grand Bull with his final Pokemon, one whose identity is yet to be revealed. As it turns out, MCU's final Pokemon is a Scyther. That is great news for PP. He smartly used Curse as Quagsire swapped out. Grand Bull can now two-shot Scyther and easily survive whatever it throws back. It can then stomp through the weakened Slowbro and Quagsire. PP seems to have ultimately prevailed. He is now free to stomp. My goodness. Oh my goodness. That is a literal reversal of fortune. Do you want to know what Endure Scyther means? Reversal. This Scyther has flipped the script. Scyther can now obliterate Grand Bull with a reversal. Thus, PP is forced to sacrifice PINSIR, letting Electrode in. That saves him for now, but after this, PP has no more Pokemon to sacrifice. MCU is forced to go to Quagsire, putting PP in an awkward position. PP just cannot use Explosion here. That is going to lose him the game. PP has to let Grand Bull take an Earthquake, or he would in theory. MCU, I think, messes up here. He uses Protect as Grand Bull swaps in. You want to get as much damage on Grand Bull as possible. Both players have a lot to consider. Does PP use Curse, prioritize damage, or risk Lovely Kiss accuracy? Ultimately, Grand Bull and Quagsire trade attacks. Grand Bull hits for 37% and Quagsire for 33%. MCU needs this Quagsire to avoid losing to Electrode, but he's only got Slowbro to sacrifice off now. With Quagsire now at 67%, PP decides to use Curse, now taking 21% from an Earthquake. It's now looking like MCU is gonna have to use that Slowbro sacrifice. He can't let Quagsire go down, and it's not safe to keep it in against Grand Bull. Luckily, Scyther will force Grand Bull out. Reversal still KOs Grand Bull. Without a sword stance though, Electrode does narrowly survive it. Grand Bull is at just 64%. It can only survive 3 more Earthquakes at most, and it'll have to take one swapping into Quagsire. Recognizing this, PP makes his move. That play may have just saved PP. PP uses Curse, taking 24% from an Earthquake. With that, we have reached the endgame, the sequence that will decide this entire game. +1 return 2 shots Quagsire, but there remains the matter of the C word. PP now has to dodge 2 critical hits in a row. 1 critical hit and Quagsire can finish Granbull off. Is PP going to narrowly skate to victory, or suffer at the hands